What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and I am about to do some League gameplay to hopefully potentially prepare for the Golden Gauntlet II tomorrow, and I am just rocking Scream Machine, a War Machine Legion lockout deck that also plays the Scream cards that I think have some nice overlap and synergy that you can use the Scream cards to kick your opponent out of the stormed out location. And this looks like a reasonable curve to me. So I'm just going to go ahead and snap on turn one before my opponent knows what is going on here. I am playing this deck totally untested. This is my testing for the Golden Gauntlet event tomorrow. And it looks like we might be up against an RSM. No, we are not. Okay, I was thinking, oh, should I have looked at that before I snapped? But looks like we're in the clear. I'm going to play Sam into the unknown. That looks good to me. And then I will possibly be storming out over in Shadowland. My mind's a little bit unmade up. Oh, we've got Central Park. Okay, well, that is really going to impact our ability to leap around. We could take out the Vibranium. We could also potentially like dive and dip and plan on legioning Central Park later just to completely lock the game down, a different type of lockout. But for right now, I'm gonna go with Storm. We could also Spider-Man into Shadowland or Spider-Man out of Shadowland. Both of those seem like potential reasonable plans. We are in for 4 cubes. My opponent also going to Storm. But I don't know about that. I mean, I guess it's whoever finds the War Machine then is in a slightly better position. I think we're still going to be able to get a lot of power at these other locations. I'm thinking like Craven. The Spider-Man's a little bit tricky if I want to play everything else. Maybe I just play Hydra Stomper, and that'll just win this location most likely, and then continue to move around these things. I do want to get the Craven online, but it is potentially a little bit late in the game. So maybe we just do this and set up with the Legion for next turn into Central Park as a potential silly play. The idea being we're going to battle for this Central Park. If they have the War Machine here, Jubilee, so they are locking themselves out of this center location already with an Electro. So I don't have that many plays this turn. If we play Legion, move over the shield, play Legion. That is a win in this flooded location still. We'll have 9 to their 8, and that will win this flooded location. Yeah, I think this actually just always wins us 4 cubes. We might lose this location, barring like a blue Marvel or something that I wouldn't expect my opponent to have. We'll have 9 here, and we'll have 1 in this location as well. So I think this is just solid. Let's send it. We have Prio. They have 6 energy, but of course cannot play an Infinite. They got to be expecting the Legion to come down here, which, I mean, we're not getting more than 4 cubes out of this game, I don't think, any way you slice it. We could potentially lose 8 cubes if they have, like, I don't know, some type of maybe like Jeff in the flooded location, but they can't play Jeff plus War Machine, so I don't know exactly what they would need. And 1 card for 6 energy, I don't know, Magneto. I don't know exactly what it could be, and I don't know what it needs to be, but it's Infinity Ultron as their last play of this first game. Now all we have to do is press the end turn button. I did not consider the fact that if they played a card this turn, they would not even be able to play a card on the final turn. So we're going to be able to get them for 4 cubes here. And we will move into game 2. Up a little bit. Quinjet Infinity Ultron is a neat new combo. Gives you 1-cost stones now. 1-cost stones are pretty powerful, I hear. And that went up to a 2/5. The Soul Stone, as Infinity Ultron lost a little bit of power. Looks good to me, though. I feel good. Up 4 cubes, of course. A Storm mirror match is interesting, and it's kind of, I mean, I do think I like my shot in it. All right, Starlight Citadel. I don't have Batroc into Sam, so I'm not super confident, again, to fire off a turn 1 snap, but I do, like, sight unseen, first game playing the deck, I snap on turn 1. That does take some guts, you know? But I was definitely justified in thinking that I had a winning position. I do imagine we're going to run out Sam Wilson here. Though, interestingly, we are kind of enticed into playing into Shuri's Lab. And Starlight Citadel Storm is another interesting combo. I think we're just going to run out Sam Wilson for now, though. And with priority, we could Storm Shuri's Lab. We could also Spider-Man into Shuri's Lab to get some cross-lane power. Silk is also pretty reasonable. I kind of don't want to... I don't want to give my opponent the opportunity to use Shuri's Lab and then get them out of there with a Spider-Man. I think we are just going to wind up storming. And I think we could either storm Starlight Citadel or Monster Island. I think Shuri's Lab is good enough for me. Let's just storm the Starlight Citadel. And let's not snap just yet. My opponent could also storm Shuri's Lab here. I think that would be a reasonable location for them to storm, considering I do have some move cards, though they didn't really see that much of it last game. They just saw Batroc, or Batroc. I think we might be trading storms here, in fact. Yeah. So now I have to decide exactly what I'm doing with that. I think I'm going to be able to win this location later on. It's just a matter of exactly what I want to do with it, because they could have War Machine here. This steals 4 power. Playing into Shuri's Lab is just a bonus 4 power. I feel like I'm just supposed to play Spider-Man, and if that's the case, I almost feel like I'm not even... I mean, I think I do want to play... I could play the Silk this turn to set up for a Hydra Stomper. Just try to move the Silk as much as possible. Sure, next turn we're playing Hydra Stomper into Monster Island, probably, as long as all of these cards don't wind up in Monster Island. That could be a little bit awkward for me. And there's a reasonable chance that they do, because they could knock me out here. Nice. We get Spider-Man over into the flooded location, and Silk does land over in the island, but that is actually totally acceptable. So the plan here has got to be Hydra Stomper, Batroc, Miles Morales. I want to give Batroc the ability to go over to this flooded location alongside Silk. I don't love my spot here. Oh, and it looks like the game is actually over. But I don't think that this is the worst case scenario, because I think we will be able to battle for this flooded location by moving the Shield and Batroc over there. Oh, that's Infinity Ultron. That is not Legion. I was a little bit afraid of Legion. But that is not what we got. So if I move the Shield here, Batrock's also going to leap over. Polaris will pull nothing, but it will pump up Hydra Stomper. Batrock goes over here for... Yeah, this is enough points to win the flooded location, so they have to do something. I'm winning the other two locations. If they just slam an Infinite, we've won. So they could have some crazy play with Infinity Ultron for sure. I feel like we're putting out reasonable enough points at all three locations that we're going to stay in it for 2 cubes. It's a little bit tricky to know their exact output, and I just realized I do not have the tracker set to show my opponents. But here's the cards that we've seen out of them so far. This is closed deck list, of course. I mean, I feel like it would be like a Jubilee plus a Stone as the only thing that we could feasibly be playing around right now. Yeah, and that did not seem strong to me, so that is indeed going to get us 1 more cube. And we are up 10-5. Feeling confident, but don't want to get cocky. And we have not shown my opponent any of these 3 cards, Kraven, Legion, War Machine, and I also don't think that we've shown them Polaris and Scream in that first game. We do have the turn 1 Batrock, the Leaper, and the turn 2 Sammy. That's snap season for me, baby. X-Mansion could provide some randomness. My opponent could also have a reasonable curve, but I'm not snapping to Batrock into Sam. Just gotta do it. The fact that we're both War Machine decks also means that, like, there's a lot of my opponent's best draws that just aren't really something that I have to care about. I think I'm going to play Sam into the unknown here. Could actually see very much storming out the X-Mansion by either myself or my opponent, though if they are feeling the need to play catch-up, they might need to leave X-Mansion alone. Merlin could also be changing some locations. The peak is going to give them my Legion and give me their Storm. Well, looks like I am now in charge of all stormed out locations. Meaning if they have War Machine, they now have the full combo if I storm them. That's interesting. I can actually deny that by playing a storm 2 turns in a row to the same location, which is kind of cheeky. Might as well play their storm since they don't know I have mine in my hand. But we are indeed going to run out that storm just to be efficient on the curve. And they have got Omniversal Presence. So, yeah, I was about to say that. Merlin is an interesting part of a storm-filled metagame because Merlin can change the flooded location himself. And that is kind of an interesting endeavor. I mean, I either play this now or I don't play it. So I think I play it now. And just move these cards back over here. Looks good to me. We're going to move Batrock and the shield over into Nidavellir on the final turn. That's pretty good. We could also Spider-Man my opponent out of Nidavellir, potentially, with something like Polaris as well. Polaris Center could knock a card for my opponent out of Nidavellir. If they play, like, specifically a Quinjet, some stones, I will probably have priority, so the stones won't be as easy to nab. Jubilee into Nidavellir does make a lot of sense to me, and this looks like a War Machine potentially as a solo turn 4 play. Could also be a Jubilee into the flooded location. That would also make a lot of sense. Okay, and that is going to be a War Machine. So this flooded location going to be a little bit tricky. Hydra Stomper could keep them honest, though, if we were to do something like this. Next turn, we move Batrock and the shield into Kraven, potentially Spider-Man into Kraven, and then Polaris Center to bring the Merlin back. Those all seem like pretty good moves. We're currently looking to lose Baxter Building, so that's a little bit sus. But like I said, because I stormed this flooded location again, if my opponent legions this flooded location, we will not be locked out of the game. We will still get to play on the final turn because both of these two locations will be flooding for the final turn of the game. That was the change in the most recent patch, how flooding plus legion works. So playing around that specifically with the double storm line seems smart to me. And I don't know, yeah, I still feel like we're looking pretty good. My opponent may have still gone for the Legion, so we'll turn off Baxter Building and Nidavellir, which means the Polaris isn't that big of a deal. Okay, it's actually Infinity Ultron, which means they are going to need a Power Stone potentially to get some more power into the flooding location. Oh, wow, and that's a fantastic draw, too. So it's actually not that good. Reason being, we're going to run out of room to play all of our cards. I want Batroc to leap over here. I want Spider-Man to go over here, too, but I just can't do it. I can't do everything. I could keep Batroc over here, actually. That would be... No, Batroc's going to move before Spider-Man does. Oh, I could not do this, but there's a chance Spider-Man lands over here. There's actually a 100% chance that Spider-Man lands over here if I go this way. But that's fine. We'll Polaris the Merlin back into the center and then just play Miles over here. Still seems like a fantastic amount of points. Miles was probably my best draw on the final turn just for being a one-cost card. I might even be losing Baxter Building here, which would flip the flooded location to my opponent's favor potentially, but we're also going to get Spider-Man and a few more points on Hydro Stomper. So I don't really see how they get out of this one. I mean, the stones can give you anything. They could have Mind Stone plus Jubilee. You know, that's a pretty crazy final turn play. They could also just have Mind Stone plus Time Stone. Quick reminder, everybody might not be familiar with everything, but Mind Stone is Odin. Time Stone is put a card from your hand here. So a lot of potential for some power into Nidavellir. This doesn't look like it is it, though. Could have a Shang-Chi or something else interesting. But for right now, I'm feeling pretty reasonable. Oh, maybe this could have been Polaris to pump up Kraven. Yeah, that might have been slightly better. But then my opponent would have had Merlin with additional points on it from Nidavellir. They are changing Baxter Building. I did not even battle for Baxter Building that hard. And then Jubilee in Nidavellir. I don't think that that's going to be able to bring them enough points, even with an Electro. That is going to be 4 cubes for me to put King of Canada down to their final cube as we go into game number 4. They are now going to have to win the next 5 games, and with that, they decide to throw in the towel, so we grab the W. We are going to play another one here with this same deck. I do want to get some reps in with it, like I said, and this I don't think is snappable just yet. I'm just trying to figure out where I want to put this Batroc. And I think I will just drop it right here. Good luck, my friend. I'm also thinking about where I might need to storm with Monster Metropolis as the only face-up location. Opponent with a turn 1 Zabu, not a bad start. And Eternity Range. I mean, Scream plus Storm does seem reasonable. I don't love that we don't have any Scream cards just yet, but I do think we'll be playing Scream plus Storm into Eternity Range. My opponent is somewhat tempted to play into this location this turn, but I don't think there's anything I can do about it. We're going to Storm here. Next turn we get to Spider-Man, plus hopefully hit like a Kraven, a Silk, or a Sam. Any other 2-cost card would be nice. They do play into the Eternity Range, and we've now shown them the Storm, but I think that that is It's fine. I don't think there was a way around that. And Electro is interesting. We do fish our wish here with the Craven. So that's pretty neat. My opponent with priority, I feel like we probably Spider-Man them out of the flooding location. We're going to try to make a big Craven over here. Next turn we'll have Miles Morales, and we'll... I don't know, we don't have a great Zabu play, so maybe we'll hit Hydra Stomper instead, or potentially even War Machine. Okay, they've temporarily given us the flooded location. They are going to drop a War Machine this turn. Ooh, and Spider-Man goes this way, which also means we don't get the Batroc value. So that's all pretty awkward. And I think we might have to turn the flooded location off, though with a War Machine draw, that is pretty reasonable too. So now we're looking to go like War Machine, Miles Morales, and we've got 2 cards in here the same size as their Monster Metropolis. Certainly don't love my position right now. I mean, if they just have Legion, I guess I have to play War Machine just in case they Legion me out of this one. This gives me the potential to play into multiple locations on the final turn, but I do not have a good play. All I have is a 7-power Legion. So battling for all 3 locations here is reasonable, but it looks like my opponent may have also done the same. Jubilee and then a card into Lake Hellas. So are they winning center? They are not winning center. We are actually going to lose Lake Hellas, though. But this is not a good curve. If we Legion to turn off Lake Hellas, we both lose the same amount of points over here. I do feel like it's actually Legion into Lake Hellas, and then I'm giving my opponent 2 extra points over in Monster Metropolis, but honestly, I don't think this is stay-inable, and this is a tricky matchup when your opponent is playing the Storm War Machine deck that goes above you, though so is our last opponent, right? So it's definitely doable. I think we probably just get out of here for 1, because we already know that they can play the Hawkeye arrows. So that's 2 cheap cards. I mean, I imagine they will have other 4s in their deck showing that Zabu, right? So they could potentially battle for all 3 locations there. Yeah, I just wasn't confident enough. Craven, Hydra Stomper, and Legion. Kunlun could be snappable just to put some pressure on my opponent. I don't actually have it right here, right now. So it's a little sus. There is Batroc. So, I mean, we kind of want to play Craven here, despite not actually having it just yet, but I think I will still. Sure. They're going to clear their hood in Hala, which means we are free to develop our Hydro Stomper here. And I am glad that we did not receive the hood. So that's at least good for us. I think that's really my only play. Ooh, they actually battled for Hala this turn. What could that be? Oh, this could be Electro? No, it's Misery to flip the script, a Misery off Zabu. Well, we might be giving up Hala then. Awkwardly. We might be giving up our Hydra Stomper. Do we find Silk? No, we find Storm. So we can Storm out this location instead. Still puts you in a little bit of an awkward spot where then next turn I have to play the War Machine just in case my opponent has Legion. It's probably worth keeping around my Hydra Stomper. Or it's just worth retreating. Yeah, I like that as well. We have not found good opportunities here just yet. My opponent's deck does not look like anything super crazy. But it's just a little bit bigger than mine, and this deck's also certainly one about opportunity. There's key cards, Sam Wilson and Scream, that really set up the rest of your synergistic plays, and we haven't found those just yet. So maybe with those, we will be able to snap and win ourselves some cubes. Thor, not super useful. Going to try to leap over here, I assume, this turn, unless we draw one of our better 2-cost cards. Now, Ant Maze is interesting. We can actually play into Ant Maze next turn with Hydra Stomper and have Batroc move around potentially. We'd love Spider-Man to land center, actually. Okay, so now if the card that we play into Ant Maze goes to the right, then we won't be able to get value out of that. Monster Island. One other thing that we could do, this is kind of curious, we could Polaris the Ebony Maw into Ant Maze, making it so that my opponent has to make use of Ant Maze right now or never. And we have Prio, so they won't be able to storm this location. And then we're actually going to follow the Ebony Maw into this center location. We don't have a great opportunity to play Silk next turn, but this still seems like a semi-reasonable play. Just because it locks my opponent out of Ant Maze, it gives them one opportunity to use it. Of course, they could have War Machine, and they could also just play to the location right now, but we will at least go for this. And the Hood is their Ant Maze card. Okay, so that's not really that good of value. Puts +3 power on a -3 power card that they already kind of wanted to Misery or something. Legion is kind of fun into Ant Maze. Legion is also potentially fun into Monster Island. With priority, it does... I think my Discord sounds just came through. Oh, I'm not on... Apologies for that. I am not on streamer mode. I don't know why, so we might hear pings come through. But I'm going to focus on this game. What I was about to say is I do think I want to Silk here, because I think my opponent's most likely to play to this location. So now if Silk moves over here, then Batroc can follow it. Nice. Little bit of extra value then. So now they can play anywhere. We cannot Legion in Monster Island, but we can Legion in Ant Maze. And what that does is then if my opponent plays a card here or here, it could move and Batroc could follow it. They probably won't play here. So I think they're reasonably likely to play to Camp Lehigh, and that might make some things move around. Let's try this. We get punished here if they play Hawkeye, because they also have the Demon from the Hood. So that will give them, but if they drop that this turn, then they might not be able to get full use out of Ant Maze. They storm Ant Maze. Well, that doesn't bother me. And then they play the Demon. If that moves center, no, it moves into Ant Maze. Right. That is a bummer. So we will not get to make use of this Ant Maze. And when they play here, their my cards will move into the flooded location. So I feel like this is actually somewhat reasonable. I almost want to like storm this Ant Maze so that way I can keep a Hydra Stomper here. Oh, my Batroc is going to move center to follow whatever gets played into the flooding location. That is really interesting. This does still seem like a lot of points, though. But it is quite clearly losing Ant Maze. And the fact that we're just losing this location means my opponent only has to play like an Infinite in either of these two locations to get a pretty easy amount of value. So I almost feel like I need to do this to play around an Infinite. I think we do it like this. It's a very strange little play. But if they play here, then we win big in these locations. I'm going to snap. It's kind of a late scum boomer snap there, but I think that we had a winning position. Maybe we should have just wrote it out for 1 cube, or for 2 cubes there. If we didn't snap, maybe my opponent would have given us a second cube. That's the downside of boomer snapping, of course. We have the Sammy this game. First time Sammy. Long time snapper. They have the turn 1 Zabu. So both of us got some cylinders we're firing on here. Let's drop Sam into Dream Dimension. Hydra Stomper in Dark Dimension is a pretty solid play. Legion might turn off Dark Dimension, though Dream Dimension is going to make Legion tough. They could still play it with Electro in some capacities. And we have another Ant Maze game. What do you say to that one? Hydra Stomper? Or do I try to get Batroc out here as soon as possible? Probably should try to get Batroc out here as soon as we can. So maybe I just do this for now. Kind of hoping to draw Spider-Man, but I think just getting it out here as soon as possible is pretty good. Ooh, we stranded them with an acid arrow. That was unintentional, I have to admit, but incredibly, incredibly sweet. This is probably a snap condition from this point. I think let's go ahead and snap. What do you say? Next turn, we could play Polaris plus Kraven. Yeah, they are just going to retreat. All right, we're tied up 8 cubes apiece. We get 1 cube from that acid arrow catch. Totally unintentional, for sure. Was thinking about a bunch of different other things, including how to mute my Discord. Maybe I should try to do that just in case another one comes through. Notifications. Can I go to streamer mode? Disable all notification sounds. I don't think I saved that. TVA. Well, TVA, when both of us have access to Storm, is not as straightforward as it might be otherwise. Ooh, Sakar might get our Storms out of here, though. And we are also at our first game in high stakes mode. We've both won a pair of 1-cubers so far. I think we snap from this position. Sakar probably helps my opponent more than it helps me. But TVA is really interesting. We have the Storm, so we are in control of the amount of turns we're going to play. They give us the Hood. I want this to be a TVA game. I want their Storm to come out of Sakar right now, along with mine. This is their Demon.
Wind, aid my hand.
Okay. So now I don't have a great play this turn. Oh wow, Strange Academy. If they do get rid of this TVA, that's really interesting. We're going to play Scream into the flooded location, and I think we'll be able to make that work. Next turn we have Silk plus Spider-Man plus moving around all of this stuff. They are snapping. We are making this an 8-cuber. Wow, Strange Academy is really good for me, though. They can't be... Oh, they could be playing a Misery. Another turn 3 Misery into the Hood. That is so, so strong. Well, that's fine. That's a lot of points. So... this is 6 points over here. That's the same as their demon. They have priority. Which means I think we're looking to pull out their demon. Go up to 8 here. If we steal the points from Zabu, we're tied in this location. There's a lot going on here. Do I want this silk to potentially go into the flooded location? I think I do. Alright, a lot can happen here. My opponent could also storm the TVA. But let's see. I don't think that's what's happening. This looks like another demon into the TVA. And I forgot Electro was 4 points now. Electro big. All right, how big is this Spider-Man? It goes center. And then Storm steals the power from it, so we win the flooded location, and then Silk also goes center. Do we win this on differential? We tie. Holy moly. Holy moly, we both put out a bunch of points there. When you think you're playing an 8-cuber and it's actually a 0-cuber, that is wild. That is absolutely wild. So, I don't think anything that we did there really mattered. Yeah. Because once we resigned to tying the TVA, the only other thing that we could have done was played Silk here second, and then we would have won. But if the Spider-Man landed here, then we would have lost, which is why I decided to go for this Silk play instead. I thought that getting Silk center or on the right could both potentially have some good points for me. Some good point spreads. Ooh, the Bifrost is good with Hydra Stomper. Next turn we'll be able to Silk. We might be able to catch where my opponent is playing to. The Hood. So they're not incredibly likely to play a demon here, but they might be likely to play a different 2-cost card here. Oof. All right, well, they're certainly not playing to Jotunheim. But I think we will run out the Silk into the Bifrost. Yep. Ah, we missed. We missed with that. That's a bummer. Well, now we definitely move the Silk ourselves. We have Prio here. We're hoping that Batroc leaps over into Sacred Timeline, and that my opponent is nice enough to storm Jotunheim for us. Don't think that's going to happen. They also play into the Silk location. Makes a lot of sense. Do we win the 50-50? We do. So we get Batroc to leap out of there. That's good. Next turn we get to play Kraven, followed by Miles. And then the plan is we're going to move around a bunch more cards after that. This almost feels like overkill. We actually play Kraven and then play Scream here. I think I may just do this. They're Electroed up. That's interesting. I mean, certainly a Misery into this Electro hooded location looks good. That's a Hydra Stomper moving into Jotunheim seems good. Getting this shield out of there also seems good. I think that this is solid for now. And then, oh, do we fill up Sacred Timeline? I think we do, actually. We may Jotunheim before we Bifrost. No, we Bifrost before we Jotunheim. That's how that works. Then we get a full hand with Sacred Timeline, including a second Hydro Stomper, and a bunch more points on Kraven. This is looking good for me all of a sudden. I don't know if I maybe should have snapped. Sam Wilson to move around this shield next turn is pretty good. It awkwardly almost looks like I have to play double Miles here, though, too. They could, of course, play anything into Sacred Timeline to move my Silk and make me lose this location. I want to play Hydra Stomper next turn plus a pair of Miles, but I think I have to play the Miles this turn. Yeah, there's no way they play into my Silk right now. I do feel like I've got a lot of points, though. We're going to snap. I think I just have enough points this game. I'm hoping to draw Spider-Man or Polaris. Storm I could maybe do something with, though, too. Just going to be able to put out a bunch of points. They actually do move my Silk, which is a 50-50 to move my Batroc, too. Oh, they move it with Misery. Batroc is going to leap over into the Bifrost. We didn't need to play the Sam. We didn't need to play the Mileses. But we do now have enough points to battle for... Oh, Silk leaps back, which means I'm super glad, actually, that I played Sam. Oh, yeah. Okay. So now I do this. There's no real way to get super good play out of Batroc. No, there is. Okay, here's what I can do. This will move Silk into Jotunheim and then move it back into the Kraven location, which is just 2 more points on Kraven and a few more points on these Hydra Stompers. This looks great to me for 8. Let's see what my opponent is going to go for. They battle for Sacred Timeline, and they battle for Bifrost. What could they possibly have here? GG's, we'll give them the fist bump in just a moment, but I'm very curious how this is going to play out. Silk is going to land back in Jotunheim eventually, but we've got a lot of points there with the Hydra Stomper this turn. Infinite plus Pim Arrow. Moving out the Silk is not going to be enough, though. That is a huge Hydra Stomper, and we are able to get the 8-cube victory on the second attempt. I am just sweating right now. It is, 85 degrees, and I don't want to turn on the fan because I'm recording, but this is good practice for tomorrow. And now we are up against Kingpin. There's a name you might recognize from my channel. All right. They want to put on the pressure. Well, with this straightforward of a curve, I am not really looking to get out of this one just yet. I think we play Batroc right here. Yeah. All right. They do go for an Aranya, and they are playing probably move bounce. Reasonable. Yeah, it's awkward, but if Spider-Man lands here, then that means that we get a bonus card from the Abbey. Spider-Man lands here, that means we move my Batroc. So all of those seem good. Does that give me the Abbey before it gives my opponent the Abbey? I think it gave it both to us at the same time. Yeah, it did give it. We both got it there. Madam Web now alongside the Aranya. And I think we will just Sam Wilson over here. Legion into the Vault is pretty interesting. Means we could lock my opponent out of the final turn of the game. That's probably only feasible if we draw War Machine next turn. But that is still quite interesting. Oh, they moved my Batroc to be over next to the shield. That was nice of them. They are going to have a huge Human Torch. That will make things a little bit tricky for me to Vault Lockdown. So we certainly start with this, right? And then it's probably Polaris plus Kraven. But it could be Kraven and then just Miles Morales. Honestly, this seems pretty reasonable too. Keep them honest right here. I don't think a Legion game plan is still on the table. I imagine they're going to move Human Torch over here and then bounce them. Legion is interesting because it could turn off Mount Vesuvius. So that would be another interesting thing to play for. And one other interesting thing that I could play for is the Abbey. I don't think we'll be able to get there, though. They are going to Frigga the Human Torch, which means that's going to get played into the Abbey this turn. But I have an interesting opportunity to Polaris and potentially hit that. I don't think that that's going to be super useful. I think that I like potentially Polarising on the final turn, though. So we're not Legioning into the vault. That much is clear. Do I want to Legion and turn off Mount Vesuvius? Do I want to Legion and get more points into Mount Vesuvius? No, I think we're going to Legion here and then have Polaris Hydra Stomper as a play. My opponent might draw an additional card from the Abbey. I don't think that that really affects the final turn of the game, though. And it gives us the ability to play in the vault or retreat. Also gives my opponent the chance to retreat, which that part's regrettable. But I think that Hydra Stomper is nice. Do they move the Frigga? Probably not. Oh, they do move the Frigga. So Batroc is going to move regardless. And then Human Torch over in Abbey. And some other points over in the vault, potentially. I think the goal is to surprise them by putting up enough points in the Abbey. Oh. Okay. Never mind. We're going to lose this location. And they didn't play another Human Torch, which means they probably have Ghost Spider. Well, we've lost this location for sure. The only thing that is kind of interesting to me is if we Polaris and randomly move their Human Torch into the location that they play their other Human Torch. This could still really disrupt them, actually. This could stop them only a little bit from moving over a card with a Ghost Spider. Because they could just play Human Torch plus Ghost Spider. They don't have a reason to play another card center, and they're going to move this dagger. I still think Polaris center makes a lot of sense to me because they're going to play this dagger over here. This is 11. So either we move the Human Torch and we win this location, or we don't. Let's go for it. For 4 cubes, this seems like fun to me. What do they have? They did play a second card in the center, which means Polaris could just win this location. What do we pull? We pull the Human Torch, so we win the Abbey, and then we strand a 20 power Human Torch over here. We're not going to be able to beat that, though. Oh, bummer. Bummer. We lose to the 20 power Human Torch over here now. Dang. So what did I need to happen? If I pulled over this Iron Fist, no, I always lose this location to a 20 power Human Torch plus dagger. I guess that's always wrong, isn't it? I don't know exactly what I was going for there, but it seemed funny. So, I went for it. Sue me. They know we've got Legion War Machine at this point. This is definitely still comebackable. Alright, Craven and Sam are reasonable. New York is potentially a good Craven location. Madam Web makes a lot of sense there too, of course. Probably do want to start screaming. I think with the scream, we probably actually snap. I think we can hang on to the Vibranium. It's cheap enough that I think we will be able to play it on the final turn relatively easily. All right, they are going to retreat. Maybe I should have retreated the last game, just considering how good Scream is against their deck, and instead trying to find a good Scream opportunity. Like I said, I'm overheating. System's working overtime here. We've got the Scream again. No cards to follow it up with, but we do have the turn 2 Scream, and we just snap bullied a Madam Web draw, which feels pretty good. Let's lead with the Scream, but no snap this time, just because we're feeling a little bit interactive light. Okay. Great Web's kind of funky. Probably play Hydra Stomper. We could still turn off Great Web. Huh, that's really tricky. I think we might want to do that. I don't know. Do we snap and then, like, not worry about it? Let's snap first and just see if that gets a retreat. Okay, good. Fair enough. Victory. We don't have to think about it if we can just snap and let my opponent think about it. Turn 2 Sam. Do we have the... No turn 1 Batroc. Ooh, Kiln as another lockdown location. That starts to look pretty interesting for me then. We might be playing Craven. But Craven into Madam Web is not that useful. We could Polaris the Madam Web this turn. You know what? Let's just storm the Madam Web location. That probably makes things pretty difficult for them. Next turn, we can play Miles plus Polaris. All of this seems good. 2 locations locked down. I'm snapping. 2 locations locked down, and then Grand Central gonna clog up another location. Hopefully my Legion doesn't land in Grand Central, but the damage might be done by that point. If that is the case, we are going to get another retreat. And all of a sudden, this game is borderline tied back up 6 cubes to 7. Because once we are in high stakes mode, they do have an extra cube up on us, actually. But it's quite close. Ooh, we get the Batroc into Sam. Strange Academy, a reasonable location for them for now. Unless we hit the Scream. Discard a card, replace it with one that costs the same. Goodbye, Miles. They lost a Beast. I am pretty confident in, yes. And we got a Beta Ray Bill. I do think we're going to wind up storming Strange Academy. But for now, let's play this. Do they have a Madam Web again? No, Aranya. Feel reasonably about that. Location number 3 is the Big House. I think we're going to turn off Strange Academy. It's good with Hydra Stomper. It's not good with Sam Wilson since we're moving the shields on odd turns. We don't get any extra value there. Let's just turn it off. Not worry about it. And if they want to do some bouncing shenanigans over in the Big House, they've got it.
Aid my hand.
They Sage me for a 4-power Sage, but this is not a strong play. for sure. I think we snap just because they have not made a strong play. I mean, they have the Aranya, but they don't have the Madam Web. I think I'd just like to put some pressure on them. My play feels strong. Turn 2 Sam. Their play feels a little mediocre. And we have now got the cube lead, but our luck is probably going to run out. We can only win so many games, you know? We've won the last 4 to retreats. So we do have some new interesting cards to play with in this one. Wakandan Embassy, good with the Human Torch, and that is going to bring out an immediate snap, and it might be one that we have to respect. I think we're going to let them take the cube lead back here. My curve is fine. But based off those past few games, it seems like that we do have a lot of really good draws that we could maybe just apply pressure with instead. So let's look for one of those really good draws where we have Scream and Snap there. So Scream just turns off Human Torch as a card. I don't think I want to snap. Snapping puts me all in, but I'm very close to snapping. Scream here lets me play a War Machine next turn, but you do kind of want to play Storm on turn 3. I think we're just going to Scream into the unknown for now and potentially Storm this third location too. We are going to be snapping. With Storm, War Machine, and a Scream, I think we just have enough tools already to get this one done. I would not mind storming the Feast, potentially. All right. They're going to retreat. We're both playing it safe. And it is one more snapped game or up to 3 non-snapped games to finish off this series. Definitely regretting a little bit that early... Yeah. So that is a great location for Human Torch, of course, and this is probably my weakest hand yet. So we are going to follow suit and continue the retreats here. I can no longer retreat. So this is funny. I mean, yeah, this could just be them bully snapping because they saw Aunt May's, but my hand, that was one of my worst hands there. We are into round 9. We have made this a fun one, and this one looks solid enough. Death's Domain could be good for either of us. I can get Silk into there. I could Legion Death's Domain to lock my opponent out for the final turn. Not super useful for me either. They have the turn 1 Aranya. We have the Sandbar. I think I'll go for... I'll just play Sam here. It's safer. And they've got a turn 1 Madam Web. So Death's Domain is probably their domain, to be totally honest. Ooh, and Triskelion. That's going to make this one a little spicy. Though the Sandbar is going to make that a little bit less so. I think Craven is always just my best play here. Shuri into Miles could be an interesting play on the final turn. Shuri into Silk is probably too expensive. Spider-Ham does give them a slightly bigger pig because of Sandbar, so that's kind of fun. And Aranya is able to easily grab a win in Death's Domain there, so that's a bit of a bummer for me. Yeah, Dagger they knew was going to get some points there. Makari comes into the Triskelion, and we get Hydra Stomper. So, Goliath actually does have some points. I've got 3 ongoing cards, 4 if we count the War Machine, which, yeah, we probably do. We're starting with this, right? And I can play Miles anytime. Do I ever want to just play Spider-Ham here? To just ham one of their reasonable cards? Possibly. Yeah, let's just ham something. We see what we ham, right? Oh, they have Vulture too. Dang, they've got a lot. We ham their Beast. That feels pretty good. Because I could have seen them trying to make use of that next turn. Now I believe we Scream and we Stomper. And then on the final turn, we might actually be Shuri. Milesing. This Silk has got to get out of here at some point, right? Yeah, I'm sure. This is setting them up for a reasonable dagger, which is a little bit annoying. But we're just trying to get the Silk out of here and into Death's Domain, potentially Silk into Craven, and then knock it out here for a few extra Craven points. Alright, it just goes over there. I suppose that's fine. I think we may have lost this one. This is 15 points here. Dagger moving over here. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a wash to move the shield over because it puts 2 more points on Dagger, but 2 more points on Craven. Scream gets to steal from Dagger. Maybe this is all enough. I'm not going to do the math. I think we are just going to send it and see what happens here. One other thing I could have done is played into Death's Domain to get that Silk back over into Triskelion. Goliath is for 4. It's really not that much. Could have gone like Goliath center and then Spider-Man on Silk. But then I'm just like pulling some of their cards out of Death's Domain. We've lost Death's Domain. And we've probably lost the Triskelion. And I don't think that there's much that we can do about that, to be totally honest. I think we could also see, like... Actually, I don't really think they've got a great opportunity to Doctor Strange us. So let's see what this is. This might be... It's not a Triskelion card. That's just another Vulture. Wait a minute, did we get them with the Shuri? Sam or Miles, I mean? Oh, that is so insane. I love it. I love it. Awesome. Wow, 1 point with the Shuri Miles. That is fantastic. Now, whoever wins this final game, round 10, will win the match. Scream up against Move Bounce. A classic combo here. A classic matchup, I mean. In high stakes, round 10. You don't get better than that. Genosha. Genosha. Fortunately, we do get better than this. Their cards that we haven't seen here are likely Beast and Toxin. Werewolf by Night is fine for Craven. Yeah. Okay. We could maybe Spider-Man into Genosha. We could maybe Legion Genosha, though that would kill my werewolf for sure, which is a little regrettable. So I think we're just going to play werewolf here. We could Polaris the Madam Web and disrupt it right now already too. I think that's actually fine. Yeah, that could just throw my opponent off just a little bit more. And that could be the points that we need. If this is like a Vulture here. Just keep them on their toes. It's actually a Sabertooth. Interesting. I think we're going to continue to try to keep them on their toes, though, by just moving around this Madam Web at every opportunity. I would have liked to have played the Werewolf at some point on the curve, but of course we're playing the Scream. Oh, they have Prio this turn. Dang. Okay. Well, this doesn't actually seem like that big of a deal. Okay, we keep moving around that Madam. And we do take Prio now here, going into Genosha. We could storm Genosha. What are my other options? Legion Genosha always destroys Madam Web, destroys Polaris. Then on the final turn, I'm like, I don't know, Silk. I want to give myself Miles as a live draw, I think. Which I think means playing Silk Werewolf, and then maybe we lose this Silk. Legion to give us some more cards is also kind of interesting, but my opponent doesn't look like they have anything going on right now. I think let's Genosha and destroy Madam Web. Let's go for it. So this takes out Madam Web once and for all. It doesn't take out any of their other stuff, though, as they are going to beast everything. It takes out my Polaris and their Madam Web. And it means that they have a lot to atone for on this final turn, but we are winning every location. We draw the Miles, but we didn't make a play with it. That's awkward. I think we want to set up for Silk to move into Craven, and then otherwise we're just playing a War Machine for points elsewhere. They've got a 6-point Sage. That will win whatever location it gets played to. And it only costs them 2 points. Maybe I try to move the Silk. I'm winning by 2, I'm winning by 3, and I'm winning by 6. The fact that they get to move my Silk is a little awkward. I don't think I can really make heads or tails over what is supposed to happen on this final turn. This is the most points that I can drop, is 11, and hope that some extra points go onto this Craven. Let's send it. GG Kingpin. I'm sure they are able to put together something here. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, here's a really interesting play for them. They can Doctor Strange and move all of the points over here. Well, then I should probably be ignoring this location. All right. Let's see what they got. They did battle for every location, potentially. Iron Fist, Vulture. That is enough to win Genosha. Oh, we do get the Scream trigger, and then Doctor Strange moves over the Vulture again. So that is now enough to win this rightmost location. Silk's going to get out of there, go into the Craven, and then their Sage is enough points in this Genosha. They grab the win. If Silk landed here, they still grab the win because they kick Silk out. So there was no way I was going to be able to win that one. But GG's, my friend. 10 rounds. That was a fitting end to this video. That is going to be it for me today. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.